Welcome to Bold Talk Series, where creativity, leadership, ideas, innovation come together. My name is Epi Ludvik, and today I have a privilege to have a short one-on-one conversation with Anna Anisin, founder, Formulated by and DataScience.Salon, an ecosystem builder transforming how B2B brands grow AI-driven marketing, community, and brand bold storytelling. Anna, great to see you. Welcome to our Bold Talk Series. How are you?
Great. Thanks so much for having me here, Epi. It's great to be here. Doing well.
Awesome. Great to see you. It was great to catch up with you the few months ago in Miami. So looking forward to this conversation. Anna, you're a serial entrepreneur. And let's start first from the beginning. What pulled you into the entrepreneur world at the age of 16? And how did that early start shape the way you lead and build today?
That's a great question. I guess what pulled me in is I was always really curious about technology. So I got my first computer just a couple years before that. So I was always, involved in tech in school. I was, when eBay came online, I definitely got curious because I also like fashion and I just kind of dove right into that and ended up being my first business that paid for my college, and after that, I did have one job that I took when I was going to college, but after that, I never really worked for anybody else. So since then, so never looked back. And I think that anybody could do it if you have that drive. But I think for me, it was just definitely who I am, and that was in my DNA since I was very young.
That's amazing. Always, people always tell me like, what drove you into the entrepreneurship world? And I truly believe that not everybody can be an entrepreneur. And as soon as you know, better it gets. I think in general we are entrepreneurial in a way, but to be and successful and see an exit like you did, not everyone could do that. That's my opinion. Now, do you
Yeah,
have?
and I agree with you, and I think not everybody should do that, right? Because I feel like we need a balance of all kinds of different people, right? So to run everything the way it's supposed to run, right? Because yeah, you definitely have to have that risk in you, right? Because it's a lot of risk in the beginning, and then you just kind of get used to the risk, right? So I feel like for me, it's definitely the more risk, I feel like the bigger the opportunity.
Yeah. And sooner you do it, like for example, you started at 16, I also started at a very early age. So you build that muscle, right? And so you are becomes a second nature to live in that pain because it's very painful journey, and a lot of times when people see it from an outside, they only see the the finish line. They don't see the hard days and the challenging days that you have to face them no matter what. But Anna, after building having multiple exits and a wide span of adventures, and what internal campus guided you toward that building formulated by data science salon?
Yeah, so I mean, those two were kind of the first, and especially talking about formulated by right before that, I had my last exit in 2013 from Pasari, the funeral SaaS platform, and then after that, I joined a startup. So that was another time I actually worked for somebody else for a short period of time, and that's how I got into the AI world. And there was just a lot of demand for my services, really, and I, at that time I started building out playbooks and such that, there wasn't a lot of AI, but there was definitely, I was in the AI space. So we had all the most advanced tools, right, to use to automate things, to make them really easy and attractive. So there was just a lot of, at that time, this was, gosh, almost 10 years ago, a decade ago, where data scientist was like the hottest career. I don't know if you remember that article that came out. So that's really when I launched the agency, and that was really like the hot time for the space for deep tech. And Data Science Salon also came at the same time because there wasn't really a lot of community around for this space that was quickly emerging, and data scientists and analysts who were the first people in our community because that's who they were. And now we have a lot more machine learning engineers and AI specialists and Gen AI engineers. So everything has kind of evolved and grown. But those, that's the reason that Data Science Salon came online, just because there needed to be something. And I'm really community forward as an entrepreneur. I've always used community as a way of putting the product out there, right? So I felt like there was a need for that community in that space, and also a more diverse community And that's what we've really built, and it's been really amazing to do that the last decade.
Yeah, we were talking this when we met, and we were talking about the how the events, the most amazing events, with the right size of people, with the right curation. Now, a data science salon, you cultivated not just a following, but truly a great community. What was your first signal that it becoming more than just another tech event? Then it was clear to you. What was that first signal to you?
Gosh, yeah, that's a great question. And I do remember the moment when we had our first event. It was actually in Los Angeles. And in the first one, we had a couple startups that were displaying their product. And then I saw them later, a year later, and they actually raised money and they had, a team built and everything around this. So I saw that this was actually something where people can do that. Right. And then that, like, so can build companies, and that's when I saw that this was something special. And also, another thing that really put us on the map was COVID, because that really, we went from just doing events in different cities, right, to like global eyes and nationwide audience. And that really gave us a peak. And we actually, I know some companies had really bad years during that time, but looking at, I was actually just looking at everything, and 2021, 22 were our strongest years, the biggest years of growth. So, definitely, but that was the moment, as I mentioned previously, seeing those founders meet there, come up with a product idea and launch it and then sell it to a giant enterprise company. That is really what made me like, I'm like, yeah, this is why we're here. That's why we're building this.
Yeah. So now that you build this community, your next event it's happening where in Miami, I believe in September. Is that right?
Yeah, so September 17th is going to be our next event, and it's going to be focused around generative AI and how it's applied in the enterprise. So we're going to talk about agents, and small language models and large language models and RAG. And our events are mix of use cases. So a lot of senior practitioners come and share what they're doing internally, so they can meet other folks to help them solve those problems, like I mentioned earlier, or it's technical deep dives, because we have a lot of really technical practitioners that want to see how things are done and doing them better, easier with better tools. So we're looking forward to that. We're going to be at the lab, which is a really cool spot in Wynwood. So yeah, and we have a really great schedule planned for the day. So hopefully we'll see some of you guys there, and hopefully you could be there, Epi. I know we talked about you coming.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Awesome. And Anna, where do they find out about this information? Is it on the website?
Yeah, you could go to DataScience.Salon and you could find everything there. DataScience.Salon, very easy.
That's great. So another thing about the as a founder, what I want to talk to you about this is the how do you decide when to build in public, when to stay quiet to build something in stealth mode, and when also to pivot completely. I mean, it's like yeah, we just had this conversation earlier about it's about the just journey. It becomes tough, and you got to be able to just keep showing up and persevering. But how do you decide when to do all of these steps?
So yeah, that's a great question. And I think I'll go into the one where you said, how do you decide when to pivot? And I think that you decide that when, really like it's either a circumstance, something like COVID, that forces you to do that, right? And you have to do it to survive. Or if you're not surviving as a business, right? And you're watching the numbers go down, then you have to be very creative and pivot, because whatever you're doing is not working. So I think, and I think pivoting is great because everything grows, and the industry, especially if you are in tech or whatever industry, there's some slower industries, right? Like healthcare or finance. But if you're in the very cutting edge of deep tech, you have to pivot all the time because you have to stay on top of everything. And now with, ChatGPT and all of those kind of agents that are available for anybody, then anybody can build anything, Epi. Right. So now you really have to be the first one to market. Like it's really because like really, if you are a smart person, you could go build an app, you could market it, you could make money. It's whoever does it better, whoever does it faster. And now pivoting is what really I think it's a big thing for people now, right? So if you can't pivot, you cannot be an entrepreneur or have your own business, I think.
Yeah, I remember like the people who truly got it full advantage of social media was the ones who started early in the early days, and they took an opportunity. They invested time, money, and energy towards it, and later on, they were able to build a great network around that too, as well. So it's the same thing now in this world of the agents and AI, the tools. But I mean, there's every single day there's new shiny thing coming into the
Yeah, and
market.
so that's where going back to the stealth question that you asked, there is no stealth mode anymore. Like,
Okay.
that doesn't make any sense anymore because there's nothing really that like, you have to have the relationships, the community behind you to use the product because as I said, like, anything that you might think that is proprietary or in stealth has already somebody else thought of, right? Like, and they could do it because of these great tools that we have available to us now, right? So I think stealth was very cool back like a decade ago. And that was a very big strategy that people used. But now you really have to put something out there and get people on it quick. Like you can't just be like, you have to get people interested quickly. So, and I've never been the kind of person that was into stealth. I'm always the one that, as I said, like we need you to look at what we have and give us feedback right away so we can improve it.
Yeah, yeah. So start with a problem as soon as possible. Start with the customer. Starts with engaging them and making sure that
Yep.
you get that feedback. That brutal feedback is more important than the money that you're going to raise in the beginning. And that's what I
Exactly. Yeah. Because if you don't have the people actually to use your product, then that's not going to matter really. Right? So now raising money is much harder than it's ever been. You need to have like revenue and people using your product. You can't just have people using your product now. You have to have some like you have to show how you're going to make money on it
yeah.
with it and maybe some revenue. Yeah.
Traction, product market fit, all these are part of what's required today to build a great company. It's never been so easy to start the company, but it's very difficult to
But
make
never been
sure.
the harder to raise money. Yep.
Exactly. So with that, I would love to continue this conversation. It's a short format a podcast, uh, but we'll have to end here with this last question. What does the word bold mean to you?
Bold. Well, I think that's a great question, and I love how this is part of your name. Bold means very confident and sure of themselves, and a risk taker. That's what that means to me.
Be confident and be a risk taker. Anna
Yes,
Anisin,
and very yeah, exactly. Yeah.
thank you for joining me. I wish you all the great success for the conference. Hopefully, we get to see each other there. And for people who like to sign up, we'll put the link below in this video. Until next time, be great and be bold always. Take care, Anna.
Bye. Thank you, Epi, and everyone. Have a great rest of the week.